coming. So to hear about development, how it's going to be going, the future of Northport. So before we do that, though, I just want to touch base about Northport Friends of Wildlife. We've been in existence now for about a year, and a few of us did get together because we were concerned about the wildlife that's in Northport and the fact that there is development and clear cutting is just like, oh no, where are these animals going? So that was kind of our sentiment with that, and so we've been making some progress. I've told other people about this, but about the gopher tortoises, and the city's been really great about helping us protect them. They've created a GIS mapping layer in their system so that people can upload, when they see a burrow, they can upload it. They take a picture with their smartphone, and there's an app for that, and they can upload it. And then it shows up on this mapping, and so that helps when the city's maintaining their roads, widening, and all of that. And also for development. So of course it takes people being involved with that. It means people taking the picture and uploading it, or there's other ways to do it. And so just contact me and I can help you get there. So, but there's more than the gopher tortoises, of course. We have our birds, and we have bobcats and all these fun little guys. And so, I don't know if you all had seen this in the newspaper. It was pretty interesting, a mystery of the disappearing birds. And so letters to the editor were written, and then this fellow, the answer man, he's a columnist, and he responded to people asking about where were the birds. So, and I even noticed that at my own bird feeders. They're not there. They haven't been now for the last few months, so where are they? So I did ask my birder friends where were these birds, and of course they came back with different theories. But they all came back with, yes, loss of habitat is affecting birds. Our bird populations are declining. You probably know that already. So, it's a question, well, what can we do about that? And so that's part of what we're here tonight to talk about, how we might be able to work some more with the city to address these things. But, it's also an economic driver to some extent. Let's face it, Audubon societies exist. There's a lot of people that do birding. Northport even has a wonderful brochure out now that is talking about birding in Northport. And yes, he has it right here. So there's some on the table. But that's an economic driver in some respects. And if nothing else, people come to areas like this because we do have that wildlife and that aspect, which I just hope we can keep intact somehow. So anyway, moving forward, this next month, December, we have two presentations here. One will be December 9, and that will be by Lee Amos. He is with the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast. He will be talking about conservation land in our area, and he will also be talking about orange hammock, which anyway is a big piece of property that we'll see what the future of it, what becomes of that. And then December 16, we'll also have someone from the city, and that would be John Palsbeck, and he will be talking about the technology that they have in place with uploading gopher tortoise locations onto their map. So that's kind of cool. We have surveys. I hope you all have filled it out. It's just our way of keeping in touch with you. Be sure to get your email address down, and if you have any concerns or interests, we like to keep apprised of that. We're on Facebook, and we have on our website and on Facebook also a list of outings that we'd like you to check out if you'd like to go walking around in nature. Have some really good guides. Bill Dunson happens to be one of the guides who is brilliant. We're very fortunate to have him in our community. He has a doctorate in biology and et cetera. So we have that. Check our media out. And we have brochures for membership if anybody's interested. We would appreciate that. And with that, I'm very happy to introduce Michele Norton. This is Scott Williams, and I don't know who's taking charge here.
Well, I'll just start by saying, thank you for having us here. And, sometimes it gets to be, it's a tough balance, to look at the environment, look at the protection of the, of the animals that are here, still allow for the growth and have the right kind of growth. And I think the city is very cognizant of that. got some great projects. We were talking a little bit earlier, the May project that's coming up that are incorporating and, you know, and sort of, you know, keeping the wetlands in place and, you know, making it a type of a, you know, development that's definitely cognizant of those values that a lot of people have and drawing to, you know, to people that are moving into this particular area. You know, as Edie has mentioned, with some of the, you know, technology that we've got, Nita Hester's great at doing some overlay maps and, you know, making it easier, you know, for us as we're processing and we're doing things to have access to, you know, sensitive lands, to wetland areas, to the types of concerns that you have, and we share that, you know, so we try to meet that balance and strengthening the tree code over the course of the last, you know, 10 years, and probably getting ready to go through a ULDC rewrite, and we'll be looking at it once again, you know, for areas that need to be clearly defined. Most of you had the opportunity to meet Ryan Pieper, that's our arborist there. I haven't heard anybody say a bad thing about Ryan up to this particular point, and he just lives and breathes trees and protection of trees, and he's probably one of the most passionate people that I have on staff, you know, when it comes to, you know, to that preservation and keeping, you know, maintaining the canopy, you know, working within the restrictions and knowing there's a certain amount of development goes, and that's important. It's important to have that kind of passion, you know, that's looking on the other side and not just processing things through. So with that, I'll let Michele kind of go through again, just to kind of give you a feel for where the city's going and what our land uses are, and some of the areas that the city has proactively, you know, bought up properties and bought up land and have maintained those that they'll never be built on. So, you know, once again, looking for those types of things as well. And thank you for having us here.
All right, thank you. I put some slides together and did a PowerPoint, as I've said, over the years I've become dependent on talking to maps because they seem to tell a better story sometimes than I can. I'm with the Neighborhood Development Services Division. I am the city's planning manager. I have been with the city for 13 years. I started out as a planner and the city's grant writer, and then I went into long-range planning. I did that for several years. I was part of the writing of our 2008 comprehensive plan, and then I became the planning manager just a year ago. So Edie contacted me and she had some really good questions. She wants to know about the city. She wants to know, what are we gonna look like when we're built out? What do we look like now? How many people are going to be here? And how much of the land that we have is set aside for conservation and open space? She just wanted to get a feel for where we are and where we're going. So I've put together I'm gonna kind of go through a story, and I'm gonna start with land, and then I'm gonna go to people, and then I'm going to go to conservation and lands. I really like this slide because I'm gonna tell you the story of how we got here because it impacts the reason why you're here for wildlife, and there's some educational components that I wanna go through with you. You can see up on this very first little corner here, the city of Northport River originally was five square miles. It was very small in 1959. That's how we started. And then it quickly progressed and annexed. You can see these red areas. This was annexed in 1959. The city annexed most of the Ag Estates and the entire southeastern section of the city in 1960. In 1970, what is now the Mayaca State Forest. But back in 1970, this was all platted lots. And then in 1975 and 1979, we annexed the Woodlands DRI, which is now, or was the Panacea Woodlands DRI. Then this piece came in 1981. This is conservation area owned by, Southwest Florida Water Management District. But in 2000, we had two very large annexations. In 2000, we annexed this piece, which included the north of I-75, this whole piece, and then in 2007, we finished annexing what is now the West Villages. And then, just this year, we annexed the Pine Street right-of-way and a couple of other small pieces for 2015. So we went from 5 square miles to just this month, we're 105 square miles. What does that mean, 105 square miles? We're one of the top 10 by land mass in the state of Florida, and we're one of the top 100 in the country. Will we annex more land in the future? I would say yes, we will, but it won't be to this degree. You know, we're working on some areas. We're probably going to annex the commercial pieces that flank US 41, meeting up with River Road, connecting Northport proper to the West Villages. But that'll be long-term, that's a long ways down the line because they're all voluntary annexations and will take some time. So why did we do all these annexations? A lot of them were out of necessity. They were to become they were to help us become a sustainable community because we were off balance. We didn't have enough balance of land uses, and we didn't have enough diversity in our housing stock, and I'll get to why in a minute. I don't want to bore you with fiscal neutrality, although I could. I could go into it.
Go ahead.
We can talk about it, but maybe that's for another day. I don't want you to fall asleep on me. We are a city of neighborhoods. There, I did this today. This map was from just a few months ago, but I already had to change it. I had to tweak it because I've already added 3 more in just the last few months out here. The Oasis, Renaissance, and the Preserve. As we're seeing increased activity out in the West Villages. The city of Northport has the distinction of being one of a handful of Florida's platted lands communities, which happened prior to state laws for subdividing and platting of lands back in the 50s and 60s. For the laws that are in place today that protect places like Northport from this type of development. That means that Northport, along with Charlotte County, Port St. Lucie, Lehigh Acres, and several others, there's 6 or 7 of them, were subdivided, engineered, stormwater systems put in, base level roads were put in. They were subdivided, platted, mass marketed, and sold to people all across the country. 80 by 100 square feet lots. We have 65,000 vested platted lots in the city of Northport. In addition to the platted lots, the city has also taken major strides, as I said before, diversifying our housing stock through proper subdividing, developments of regional impact, and villages. We've also added, and these developments, I'm sure most of you know about them, the West Villages, Heron Creek, the Woodlands, Sable Trace, Bobcat Trail, Charleston Park. All of these subdivisions combined added an additional 36,000 dwelling units to our platted inventory. So what does that mean regarding people? So that's what we have for land. We have over 100,000 parcels ready for development. So how does that equate to people? the city has seen, and you can see on this chart, we had staggering growth rates during, I guess what we'll call it, the economic boom, from 2000 to 2007, double digits. This is incredible, and you're gonna see what this looks like on a map. The growth rates for the city. I mean, this was amazing. I mean, you know, I was here. I came in this year, and Scott can attest to the work. The permits and the petitions were as high as we were, stacked in rows where you would just walk through them like a maze. We would, you know, like now maybe we do 300 a year. Sometimes we take that in a day. Back in this time period. So, in 2000, in this year, in the year 2000, the city was 22,797 people. In just this short period, in just this short time period, the city doubled and then tripled its population to what we are today. Just 15 years later, 62,295 people. So what does the future look like for the city regarding our population growth? Based on our vested developments, those vested platted lots, the subdivisions, and all of the other multifamily zoning to build out, staff projects that we will be approximately 280,000 people at build out. And based on the projections right now, and they change, you know, I've been doing the projections for almost 10 years, and what I had projected in 2008 and what I am projecting today are completely different. We've definitely had to come down to a more realistic approach because we were using this uptick of development, and you can see that it came down with the crash, and we lost some population in 2009. 2010 I would call an anomaly because this was the 2010 census, so it corrected. These are, you know, from 2000 is an absolute, 2010 is an absolute. Everything in between is an estimation. Now you can see again 2011, 1%, 1%. Last year 1.8, this year 3.3. So you can see we're starting to make our way back up again. Will that continue? Based on the permits that we're seeing, I do think we're going to continue to see an upward climb, but I don't think it's going to be to the point that we did have during the boom. Staff projects that we will be halfway to build out between 2040 and 2050, depending on how far the trajectory goes into the future. And Edie had asked this question, and I'm gonna answer it. She asked for a comparison. So the city of Northport at build out, we estimate 280,000 people. That's the equivalent of what the city of Orlando is today, as far as population, and they're 110 square miles, so they're right in there with us. And also we would be right in line with St. Pete, and they're 133 square miles, but I believe they have more waterways. So that's, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna look like at build out, just to give a little
What is the rate that you used for the projection for the 280,000 estimate?
The 280 was based on, there's a 4-pronged mathematical model that was used based on the trajectory had to go, so we had to go with, it was basically a 3%, which is where we thought we were going. There's a mathematical model to it based on different methodologies, but the underlying one was kind of a 3%.
But if that continues to climb, then it's going to be way over the 280.
Well, no, the 280 is our capacity today based on zoning.
Right, but I mean, other lands could be annexed and used.
Right, this is
Developed
based
or
on
developed.
today, exactly. If somebody came in and wanted to